everyone. Welcome back to Savvy Talk. Today, I'm thrilled to share another powerful moment from the very first Self-Reliance Summit, and this one is truly special. I had the honor of sitting down with the iconic Halle Berry for an unforgettable conversation about confidence, reinvention, and staying rooted in self-worth. The summit was inspired by my book, The 7 Rules of Self-Reliance, which is all about showing up for yourself, creating your own opportunities, and building the life you want with purpose and resilience. And Halle, she embodies all of that and so much more. Halle spoke candidly about the power of trusting your gut and choosing yourself and not waiting for permission to pursue what matters. Her journey is a masterclass in self-reliance, from breaking barriers in Hollywood to launching her own businesses and stepping into her next chapter, Respin, with bold and grace. If you ever needed a reminder that it's never too late to bet on yourself or your story is far from over, this conversation is for you. Hello, Halle.
Hello. Hi, Maha. Oh my God. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful that you're here. You know, one of the ways or the reasons we met was you took control. You practiced one of the ultimate ways of self-reliance in your health journey, and you decided you had to rely on yourself to advocate for yourself. And your story is what moved me and how we got introduced. And you created a company called Respin. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your story and a little bit about Respin and how you had to rely on yourself when it came to your health and advocating for yourself?
Well, first of all, let me say this. There's a chapter in your book or a segment in your book where you talk about the very thing that propelled me. And you know what that thing was? You talk about not waiting. You cannot wait. And I realized when I realized that I was in perimenopause, the tragic way I found out with the misdiagnosis of herpes, when I realized that no, that was not herpes, but it was perimenopause, I realized I can't wait for a doctor to tell me what's wrong with me. I have to get involved. I have to do my own reconnaissance. I have to research. I have to investigate. I have to be my own best advocate for myself. And that was about not waiting, not sitting there and, acting like I didn't know and waiting for someone to tell me. It was get involved, figure it out. And that is what propelled me to take my already existing brand, which was like a general health and wellness brand called Respin. And in this moment, I realized menopause deserves the biggest respin of all, because respin, the idea behind respin was respinning everything you thought you knew, right? So we know nothing about menopause as women. It's not even talked about. And I thought this subject has to be respun. And as women, we have to understand it. And we can take our power back. We can help support each other, right? We can find doctors that support us, encourage doctors to get retooled. That incited me to go to Washington and advocate for myself. And by doing that, I was advocating for all women. We need more money. We need more education, more research. But it was all about this point you make in your book of don't wait. Nobody's going to do it.
Don't be waiting.
We have to do it ourselves, right?
I love that. And I love that you read the book.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me what else that you read. What did you read for the book that was interesting that people who are listening to us today should kind of take advantage of or learn from?
It's actually one of the best self-help books, I think, on the market, because all of us want to learn how to be self-reliant. We want to learn how to make our dreams come true. You talk about being a dreamer in your book, and never quitting in your book. Like we all, have these esoteric thoughts, but do we really put them into action? And your book tells us how to have the thoughts, but then what's the action we can put behind these things to help us be more self-reliant, to help us make our dreams come true, right? To help us advocate for ourselves, to help us stand up. It gives us the confidence and sort of a blueprint as to how to figure out how to do that. And to some people, it might seem really simple, but to me, we often need encouragement. We often need a little nudge to get us to get started on that path. And that's what I think your book will do. It did that for me. I was reading it and I have it right here. I have it marked up. Is like a little Bible of sorts of reminding me of kind of what I already know, but we need reminders, right? Because we forget the power.
We forget. The power of investing in yourself and being your own power. Like one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book is a lot of people think self-reliance is about being independent. And I'm like, it's not. It's about coming to the table with stuff by starting by investing in yourself. Yes. And one of the stories I tell in the book is turning my setbacks into comebacks. My mom had MS. My dad had ALS. you've had to face a lot of setbacks and turn them into comebacks in Hollywood, in entertainment, in your businesses. And, obviously your incredible film that's out now. Talk to me a little bit about like your story when it comes to turning setbacks into comebacks and struggles into strengths.
Well, it goes into that thing that I just said about that's in your book, that you just don't quit. Quitting has never been an option. So that means when you face a setback, it's not about quitting. That doesn't really set me back. That just sort of, I always call it, that just sort of stalls me a little bit. And usually it stalls me for a second, but then it sends me in a different direction, right? In the direction that I should have been going in, but I was somehow going the wrong way. That's what setbacks feel like to me. So when you don't quit, when you work through setbacks, I have this saying I live by too. If you're going through hell, keep on going. Like you don't want to stop in that setback. You don't want to sit down there and get comfortable. You want to acknowledge that setback. And then you want to, I always say to you, put on your big girl panties or big boy panties, big boy, underoos, and you want to keep going. You don't want to sit there in that. You want to get the lesson, easily learn how to pivot, take that as a learning and move on. Right. And that has led me through all of my so-called setbacks. They're not really setbacks. They're just learning curves. That's the way I look at them.
I like to talk about my age, Halle. I'm 54, and a lot of women don't like to share their age, but I feel like this is our best time. Like now we know things, and now we can leave a legacy and tell stories and come to the world a little bit more confident. And you're doing that beyond Hollywood.
Yes. Well, I'm 58. And I don't have any problem telling my age. I think that's also something that society has put on women. Shh, don't tell your age because God forbid you're old. And what is that going to say about you? That means I'm aging like fine wine. I'm better than I was 2 years ago because I'm here 2 years longer, 2 years worth of learning and growing, right? I am 2 years better than I was. But we have to change the way we feel about ourselves as women and not be afraid to say our age. Say it loud and proud. It doesn't define us, right? It really doesn't. It just tells you how many years we've been on this planet. But it doesn't define our capacity to love, to learn, to grow, to be all that we are. Not one bit.
Halle Berry, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Maha. You know how much I love you. I'm so happy for and your book, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to post about it. I want everyone I know to give themselves this little gift because it really is a reminder of how powerful we actually are. And when we forget, this is a good reminder. So thank you, Halle. Thank you very much.
Wow, I just love Halle. What did you guys think? Don't forget to follow the show for more snippets from the summit and even more incredible guests. And of course, we'll continue season 8 and all those amazing conversations real soon. If you have a question, don't forget, if you submit it on my website, I'll answer it live during my show. Just go to my website, digitalandsavvy.com/savvytalk, and I'll answer it here on the next episode.